In this talk, I would like to extend a warm welcome to all of you who are here today to learn about the evolving landscape of ESG, environmental, social, and governance practices in China. I will present the key components of ESG, the unique trajectory of ESG development in China, and the drivers behind its rise. I will also address the challenges companies face when integrating ESG considerations into their strategies and explore potential opportunities for future progress. ESG has moved from the periphery of corporate consciousness to the center stage of mainstream finance and policy. Back in 2015, a meta-analysis by Fried, Bush, and Basson, published in the Journal of Sustainable Finance and Investment, consolidated findings from more than 2,000 empirical studies and concluded that strong ESG performance often correlates with superior financial returns and reduced risk. This research has served as a catalyst for investors and regulators globally, including in China, who are increasingly interested in how a company manages its environmental footprint, social responsibilities, and governance structures. Today's presentation is designed to be both informative and practical. By the end of our session, you will have a clearer understanding of how China's businesses, regulators, and investors are embracing ESG principles, the regulatory framework shaping this realm, and the future prospects for truly embedding sustainability within corporate culture. What is ESG? ESG stands for Environmental, Social, and Governance, three pillars that capture the broader impact and ethical considerations of a company's activities. In the past, investors often focused narrowly on financial performance metrics, including profit margins and return on equity. However, shifts in consumer expectations, global challenges such as climate change, and increased regulatory scrutiny have led to a more holistic approach. Let's break down each component. Environmental. This pillar reflects how organizations interact with natural resources and ecosystems. Key aspects include carbon emissions, waste management, water usage, biodiversity protection, and energy efficiency. In a world that is grappling with extreme weather events and heightened awareness of environmental crises, assessing an enterprise's environmental stewardship has become crucial. Social. The social pillar encompasses issues related to labor practices, human rights, customer welfare, community relationships, and diversity and inclusion. Companies that strive to maintain safe working conditions, uphold human rights standards in their supply chains, and engage positively with local communities demonstrate robust social performance. Governance. This pillar examines the rules, practices, and processes that direct and manage a company. Governance evaluates factors such as board independence, ethical leadership, anti-corruption policies, and shareholder rights. Sound governance structures often correlate with responsible decision-making, risk management, and long-term viability. Importance of ESG. ESG matters because it addresses not only what a company does, but how it operates and why. Globally, we have observed that businesses incorporating ESG factors into their strategies may benefit from a range of advantages. These benefits can include reduced reputational risk, better access to capital, improved operational efficiency, and stronger stakeholder trust. Shareholders, consumers, and even employees increasingly expect companies to address societal and environmental concerns. This growing demand influences market dynamics and pushes corporations to adapt their strategies. In China, these considerations have become particularly significant. The nation's rapid industrialization and economic rise have lifted millions out of poverty, but they have also raised numerous social and environmental challenges, such as air pollution, water scarcity, and income disparities. As a result, government agencies and local communities are exerting pressure on businesses to adhere to higher standards of corporate conduct. Companies that fail to address environmental or social shortcomings risk public backlash, government penalties, or loss of trust from both local and international investors. Furthermore, China's role in global supply chains means that many international brands and investors closely monitor how Chinese firms handle issues ranging from carbon emissions to workplace safety. A misstep in one region can reverberate worldwide. Therefore, when Chinese businesses integrate ESG principles into their core operations, they not only boost their reputations but also contribute positively to the global sustainability agenda. Investors who see a company demonstrating responsible and transparent practices are more inclined to consider it a viable long-term investment. Early developments. China's significant rise in ESG awareness can be traced back to the late 2000s. During this period, concerns about environmental degradation and social inequities prompted policymakers to consider frameworks that would ensure more responsible corporate behavior. In 2008, The Shanghai Stock Exchange took a major step by releasing the guidelines for environmental information disclosure, which aim to improve transparency regarding environmental impacts among listed companies. Although these guidelines were somewhat rudimentary compared to international standards at the time, they represented a shift toward greater corporate accountability. Simultaneously, a parallel development was unfolding in Hong Kong. The Hong Kong Stock Exchange, which lists numerous mainland-based firms, published its initial environmental, social, and governance reporting guide in 2013, subsequently updating it in 2019. These standards encourage companies to release detailed ESG information to investors, highlighting the importance of robust disclosure practices. For large corporations listed in both mainland China and Hong Kong, aligning with these guidelines became a pressing matter. During the 2010s, the Chinese government made a concerted effort to elevate sustainable development as a national priority. Concepts like ecological civilization and green development appeared in the country's official policies, emphasizing that economic growth should not come at the expense of long-term environmental and social well-being. This mindset laid the groundwork for subsequent regulatory initiatives, demonstrating a clear direction toward integrating sustainability into the broader national agenda. By the mid-2010s, the momentum behind green finance, renewable energy adoption, and more standardized reporting practices began picking up steam, setting the stage for the regulations and market expectations we see today. Regulatory milestones. Speaker script approximate 200 words. Over the past decade, the Chinese government and related authorities have issued several regulations that serve as the backbone of ESG implementation. One of the landmark policies came in 2016, when the People's Bank of China collaborated with various ministries to launch the guidelines for establishing the green financial system. These guidelines underscored the importance of green credit, green bonds, and environmental risk assessment within the financial sector. By laying out this framework, regulators signaled that environmental considerations were not optional for financial institutions but integral to their risk management. Subsequent steps continued to strengthen accountability. In December 2021, the Ministry of Ecology and Environment rolled out the measures for the disclosure of environmental information by enterprises, making it compulsory for designated companies, particularly those with high pollution levels, to provide detailed environmental data. While compliance can be challenging, this regulation highlights the government's commitment to fostering transparency. Additionally, the 14th Five-Year Plan, 2021 to 2025, articulates a clear vision of green transformation, advancing renewable energy and cleaner industrial practices. These priorities shape how businesses set sustainability targets and how they report on progress. As China positions itself as a leader in renewable energy and sustainable development, one can expect further regulations that align businesses with the government's broader policy objectives related to environmental stewardship and social welfare. What fuels ESG momentum? ESG in China is gaining traction due to a blend of policy efforts, market forces, and stakeholder expectations. First and foremost, government directives play a central role. The broader policy narrative, including slogans like ecological civilization, has encouraged state-owned and private enterprises to seek more sustainable models. Stronger enforcement measures against polluters and social misconduct have also sharpened corporate focus on ESG. Investor pressure is another major driver. Both domestic and international investors are now using ESG metrics to evaluate companies' long-term resilience. With index providers such as MSCI and FTSE Russell incorporating ESG parameters into their China indices, firms have begun to realize the importance of meeting these criteria for inclusion and favorable ratings. In addition, consumer awareness has risen significantly, especially among urban millennials and Gen Z, who often choose brands that demonstrate social and environmental responsibility. Lastly, international expansion requirements encourage companies to align with global standards like the Global Reporting Initiative, GRI, or the Sustainability Accounting Standards Board, SASB. As more Chinese companies become multinational, they must adapt to meet the expectations of customers, regulators, and investors across borders. When integrated effectively, ESG can enhance corporate reputation, boost access to global capital markets, and minimize reputational risks associated with environmental or social controversies. Obstacles to success. Despite these clear drivers, ESG implementation in China faces several challenges. A key hurdle lies in the consistency and quality of ESG data. While some large, well-resourced companies are capable of producing detailed sustainability reports, Smaller firms often lack the expertise or budgets to create robust and comparable disclosures. This gap leads to potential greenwashing, where companies may exaggerate or misrepresent their efforts to appear more sustainable than they truly are. Such practices can undermine stakeholder trust and impede the development of credible ESG benchmarks. Furthermore, regulatory fragmentation poses a problem. Although high-level guidelines exist, different ministries and local jurisdictions might introduce overlapping or inconsistent rules, making compliance complex. Companies operating across multiple regions may struggle to keep up with the varied requirements, potentially draining resources and leading to confusion about best practices. More standardized frameworks across localities and industries would help streamline implementation. Another challenge is limited awareness and capacity among many market participants. Some institutional investors still concentrate on short-term returns, lacking a full appreciation of how ESG factors can affect long-term performance. Retail investors may also be unfamiliar with ESG metrics, given that the concept of sustainable investing in China is relatively new compared to other major financial markets. Consequently, there is a learning curve involved, not only for listed companies but for investors and regulators as well. Finally, the sheer scale and diversity of China's economy mean that solutions cannot be one-size-fits-all. The ESG approaches needed by large state-owned enterprises in the energy sector, for instance, may differ significantly from those required by technology startups in coastal cities. Overcoming these challenges demands patience, capacity building, and ongoing collaboration between government agencies, financial institutions, industry associations, and civil society organizations. So what lies ahead? Looking forward, the outlook for ESG in China appears bright, buoyed by the government's appetite for innovation and the market's growing acceptance of sustainable business practices. One promising development involves technology-driven solutions. Digital platforms, blockchain, and artificial intelligence can help track supply chain emissions, verify green projects, and automate compliance checks. By leveraging these tools, companies can provide more accurate, real-time data to investors, regulators, and the public. This level of transparency may reduce the risk of misreporting and reassure stakeholders about the integrity of reported ESG metrics. Green finance is another fast-evolving field. The issuance of green bonds, socially responsible investment funds, and environmental impact loans is steadily rising. Having started with the guidelines for establishing the green financial system in 2016, China now ranks among the world's top issuers of green bonds. As domestic banks refine their criteria for green lending, more industries are encouraged to pursue initiatives that reduce pollution, conserve energy, or advance social welfare. Additionally, China's integration into the global economy creates opportunities for greater alignment with international standards such as the Global Reporting Initiative (GRI), the Sustainability Accounting Standards Board (SASB), and the Task Force on Climate-Related Financial Disclosures (TCFD). Adopting these frameworks can help Chinese businesses speak a common language with international investors and partners, fostering deeper capital flows and facilitating cross-border collaborations on sustainability projects. Over time, this convergence may also contribute to raising the bar for ESG compliance at home, benefiting broader societal and environmental goals. Corporate adaptation. For Chinese businesses aiming to remain competitive in today's evolving market, ESG integration is increasingly seen as a strategic necessity. Incorporating environmental sustainability measures, such as reducing energy consumption or investing in cleaner production technologies, can lead to cost savings and efficiency gains. On the social side, companies that prioritize fair labor practices, workforce diversity, and community relations may see higher employee satisfaction and stronger brand loyalty among consumers. Robust governance, meanwhile, is correlated with better risk management and steadier long-term growth. By institutionalizing ESG within corporate decision-making processes, through board committees, dedicated sustainability teams, and performance metrics, businesses can elevate their brand image and attract investment from stakeholders who prioritize conscientious operations. The shift is not just about avoiding penalties or criticism. It is about positioning a business to thrive amid new regulatory landscapes and global market expectations. As ESG frameworks become more common, a proactive approach can differentiate companies from their peers. Key takeaways and closing thoughts. In summary, ESG in China has undergone a remarkable transformation from a largely peripheral consideration to a mainstream requirement for many companies. Government policy has played a pivotal role in shaping the shift, supported by rising investor demand and evolving consumer expectations. While data gaps, greenwashing concerns, and regulatory fragmentation pose ongoing challenges, the trend towards standardization and transparency is clear. Looking to the future, technological innovations and the growth of green finance will likely accelerate ESG integration, making it easier for companies to track their progress and for investors to evaluate performance. As Chinese firms align with international standards, global market opportunities expand, and domestic businesses stand to gain from broader access to capital, stronger reputations, and enhanced stakeholder trust. Thank you for your attention during this talk. I hope the insights shared today have demonstrated why ESG is a vital component of China's corporate and financial ecosystems. I will be delighted to answer any questions or hear your perspectives on how ESG can continue to evolve and create lasting value in China and beyond.